Which of the following will not create a congruent shape? Translation, enlargement, rotation, or reflection? Now, there's quite a few big words in this question, so we need to make sure we understand what the big words mean. So a congruent shape is basically, well, two congruent shapes, should I say, are two shapes which are exactly the same shape, but they can be a reflection or a rotation of one another. So two shapes which are the same, but they can be rotations or reflections of one another. Okay, now that will become clear when we actually start to look at some shapes. So, for example, if I was to draw a very basic L shape, like this on my grid, if I was to reflect it, so if that's my reflection line, my reflected L shape would look like this. Flip over the reflection. Then those two shapes are classed as congruent, because if I was to cut them out on paper, I would be able to take the orange one and flip it back over and stick it exactly over the blue one. It'd be exactly the same shape. So it's the same shape, just flipped over, reflected. So that will produce a congruent shape. If you translate the shape, then that is just a case of this blue shape, which is the original one. So imagine the blue one being the original one. Translating a shape is where you move each corner of the shape left or right, up or down. So let's say I moved this corner of the shape 7 squares to the right and 3 squares down, I would end up with this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right and 3 down. 1, 2, 3. So that corner of the shape would end up there. And then we would redraw exactly the same shape, like so. So this one here is a translation. I'll just put translation underneath so that we remember. And as you can see, that is also exactly the same shape. A rotation is when we rotate the shape around. So if I was to trace this blue shape and then with green, put my pen on the dot there and rotate the shape around 180 degrees, the shape then end up upside down. But it's still the same shape, it's just upside down. Okay, it's the same as the orange one, it's still the same shape as the blue one, just flipped over, it's the same shape. The only one that does not produce a congruent shape, so basically what we're saying is when you translate a shape, you just move exactly the same shape across to the left or right, up or down, so that one is congruent. If you rotate a shape from the blue to the green there, it's exactly the same shape, it's just been rotated, so that is congruent. And if you reflect a shape, it is exactly the same shape again, just flipped over, so reflection is congruent. The only one we haven't talked about is enlargement. So if you enlarge a shape, you do so by a scale factor. If the scale factor is 2, it means you double all the sides. If the scale factor is 3, it means you triple all the sides. If the scale factor is 4, you quadruple all the sides. So if I was to do a scale factor of 3, I'm actually running out of space here, so I'm just going to make a new grid. So let's say, and I'm going to do the shape on its side this time. So let's say I did that, for example. The reason I'm doing it on its side is so that I can actually fit it on the grid, otherwise my grid wouldn't be big enough. If I did a scale factor of 3, that means each side on the shape would be 3 times bigger. So the bottom side, which is 3 squares, would then have to be 9 squares, like so. That's 9 squares. This side is 1, so 3 times 1 is 3, so what we go 3. This side is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, so we come in 6 squares, up 1, so triple that is 3, so you go up 3, in 1, triple the 1, it becomes 3 again, and down 2, triple 2 is 6, so that's why it's down 6. You get to that's the beginning. So as you can see, that is not exactly the same shape. A congruent shape, so that is not congruent. So which of the following will not create a congruent shape? The correct answer is enlargement, because it's got to be the same size. Congruent has got to be same size. and same shape. If it's not the same size, it can't be congruent.